A group of passengers is attacked by a horde of venomous snakes during their flight. Today we will recap the movie Snakes on a Plane from 2006. We will board a commercial flight to the city of Los Angeles. Passengers continue to enter the plane normally, but the flight attendant Claire receives information from the commander that the American Air Force requested at the last minute the first class of the plane to transport an important passenger. That passenger is a guy named Sean Jones. He is a witness to a murder carried out by Eddie Kim, one of the FBI's most wanted criminals. This would be the chance to catch him, but Sean, as a witness, was threatened with death and now needed to be escorted by the FBI. And that task will be carried out by Agent Flynn. The detection dogs were took there to check the entire cargo hold of the plane for traps. And everything seemed fine. Sean's transport plan was secure. There's only one detail they didn't count. Eddie Kim knew about the witness transport and ordered the plane to be loaded with extremely venomous snakes. Kim's employees, who had infiltrated the airport, squirted special pheromones into the flowers on the necklaces that would be handed out to passengers. With this, the snakes will become real deadly machines inside the plane when they smell the scent of flowers. In fact, they use snakes as being cold-blooded animals would not be detected. Therefore, the FBI did not find it in the inspection of the plane. The plane finally takes off. The box where the snakes are has a countdown timer. A few minutes after takeoff, the locks open and the snakes storm out of the box. And the poor cat was already the first victim. A couple who were determined to do nasty things on the plane went to the bathroom and removed the smoke detector from the ceiling to have a quiet smoke. The snakes that were in the pipes managed to get out. Let's say that the bites were in not so conventional places, as the snakes were invading all the wiring. One of them damaged the aircraft's electronic system, which caused difficulties in controlling the plane. The snakes were sneaking out through the economy class air ducts without anyone noticing. A guy got out of his seat to use the bathroom. When he was doing his thing, a snake appears inside the toilet and attacks him in the lower parts, totally disturbing. A coral snake enters Mercedes' bag as she talks to the wrapper. The little dog was angry, trying to warn her. Luckily, even though she put her hand in the bag, she wasn't attacked. Even worse, it's this old lady enjoying the snake massage that got into her clothes. Passengers in general still didn't notice what was happening. The guy who was leaving on his honeymoon with his wife complained to the flight attendant that he was very allergic to flowers. It was exactly the pheromones that are attracting the snakes. As the aircraft is totally unstable, the captain descends into the panel room to see what caused the electrical failure. He even fixes the problem, but takes a violent attack on the neck and falls to the ground. Claire warns co-pilot Rick that something has happened to the captain as he is unconscious on the ground. So Agent Flynn and FBI Agent Sanders are called in to see what happened. The captain really was dead, and as they were already halfway there was nothing to do. It was better to follow the route to Los Angeles. What would make everything worse around here is the strong lightning storm they entered. The turbulence increased considerably, and some coral started to come out of co-pilot Rick's panels. Flying a Boeing 747 through a storm with venomous snakes is a complete insanity. When the oxygen masks drop, even more snakes appear, causing even more chaos. A woman had to use the disposable bag to get everything out, and the snake attacked her tongue. Some passengers managed to get rid of the creatures in the fight, but the old woman with the massage this time didn't like it very much. The attack went straight in her eye. Agent Flynn hurried to economy class to help as he could, walking through the seats as the floor was filled with snakes. He used his taser to electrocute some snakes, which seemed to be quite efficient. In the great agitation of the people, a guy, in addition to being trampled, had his head pierced by a woman's high heels. The rapper tries to hide in the bathroom, but it was his worst choice. The couple was trapped inside and totally swollen with venom. Annoyed, a flight attendant took a coral and put it in the microwave to blow it up. There are really no options for where to run in economy class. The best thing was to get out of there towards first class. Then Flynn asks everyone to take their bags and objects and use it as a barrier at the entrance door of economy class. They need to isolate the snakes over there. As Mercedes stayed behind because she passed out, the dog was there trying to wake her up, and the snakes started to approach. She only woke up because of the puppy and really almost got attacked. But the kickboxing fighter saved her and the puppy at the last moment. Just a barrier on the door was still not enough. They needed to close all compartments where snakes could have access. Then a lady, a flight attendant, enters the corridors where the snakes are, and the mother of the child who passed out doesn't know where her son is. Then the flight attendant finds the baby right in front of Snake. The rattle of the toy is making the animal nervous, ready to attack. She quickly protects the baby from the sting, but unfortunately her airways closed due to the venom and she couldn't resist. Several other passengers are dying from not being able to withstand the force of the poison, including Agent Sanders, who is swollen and suffocated to death. Agent Flynn contacts FBI Operations Chief Harris and requests immediate help. He needs to know how to deal with poisoned people. Harris assembles an emergency team and goes after the top snake specialist in the middle of the night. On the plane, the snakes are breaking through the luggage lock and reaching the survivors again. Flynn runs with the fire extinguisher and manages to drive them out by spraying the smoke in their faces. As long as there was charge in the fire extinguishers, it could still work fine. Harris managed to get to Dr. Price, the snake expert. The doctor tells Flynn on the phone that there are hundreds of different poison combinations. The agent needs to specify the snake species so that the doctor knows how to deal with each wound and prepare specific antidotes until the plane lands, and that will not be an easy task inside the plane. Flynn orders the euphoric passengers to stay focused and pick up all the dead snakes to classify them into species. This time, the co-pilot is attacked and falls into the panel room, and Claire realizes that the plane is out of control and has begun to crash. This causes a food cart to drag everything down the aisle and break through the luggage lock. The snakes have entered for the 1000th time where the passengers are. These carts are the biggest traps around here, but some of them fly through the corridors, and in addition to destroying control systems, they throw snakes on top of a couple who are attacked and foam at the mouth with the reaction of the poison. Sean starts taking everyone to first class up the stairs. What he didn't count on is that the desperation of the staff would make the handrail break and several passengers are fatally punctured by shrapnel thrown on the floor. The biggest snake of all appeared. A brutal and immense python charged towards everyone. Dan Paul snatched the puppy from Mercedes' hand and threw it to the snake. The poor pet was rolled up and brutally killed, but he was soon punished and got what he deserved. The same python wraps itself around the old man and begins to crush him, and then devours his head. The control tower radios them to board the plane immediately. They are at the lower altitude limit. Claire and Flynn struggle to take control of the plane, but in the last few meters manage to lift it again. Passengers are still trying to block the first-class stairs, using a life raft and suitcases to keep the snakes from climbing. Co-pilot Rick was alive despite the snake's attack, and finally managed to stabilize the plane again. Evaluating all the photos Flynn sent, the doctor says they have a serious problem. Snake species are from different regions of the world. Getting the antidote for their venoms can take a few days. However, the doctor mentions that these snakes were possibly supplied to Ed Kim by some smuggler. He tells Harris that only one guy could have access to so many illegal snakes. They have to go to a remote rural area in Los Angeles looking for this supplier. More bad news for Flynn. The air conditioning has stopped working on the plane, and people are going to start suffocating inside. And the worst thing is that the engines are overheating, and soon they will fail. Flynn has to go down to the cargo hold to access the circuit breaker and reactivate the cooling system. Once in the access elevator, the agent needs to kill 2 snakes with a makeshift stake that they set up. Claire prepared a very interesting weapon to help, a kind of portable flamethrower. Now it's time to go down in the basement. Claire tells Flynn that the panel is on his right. He removes the protective cover and has to crouch into the system, advancing to the cargo hold. Upon finding the airflow breaker, he saw that the activation lever was stuck. A snake attacked and almost hit his head. Now Claire's flamethrower has proved to be quite useful. Flynn uses a harpoon to reset the stuck breaker, and finally, the air was back. But he still needed to escape a fully enraged rattlesnake. She charges at him, and Flynn fires a well-aimed harpoon shot. Harris found the damn smuggler. He gets off the helicopter and is shot at by the guy. Together with his partner, they enter the shed and manage to hit the bandit, who is stung by a black mamba. Harris interrogates the guy, asking for a list of snakes on the plane in exchange for giving him the antidote to the black mamba venom. Now the doctor gets the information he needed to get all the antidote from the smuggler's shed. The people on the plane receive word that the FBI has all the antidotes. Now they just need to land. Everyone was happy with the news and went to warn the pilot. However, the man is not responding. Flynn breaks open the cabin door, and Rick appears all bloated and destroyed. They are definitely pilotless. Claire had to use a desperate measure, asking the passengers if anyone knew how to fly. The rapper says that his friend in security, Troy, knew very well and already had more than 2,000 hours of flight. So that's it. A PSP player will pilot the 747 full of snakes. As the cabin is full of snakes, Flynn was so irritated that he freaked out for good. He told everyone to fasten their seatbelts because he was going to blow a hole in the windows with his gun to send the snakes away. Everyone is somehow attached. Flynn and Troy use a rope to attach themselves to the cabin door, and then he shoots the windows. Everything starts flying through the hole, including the snakes. Troy goes to command the aircraft with Flynn's support. The tower asks if Troy has piloting experience, and he says he has piloted an F-15, F-16, and an A-10 Warthog. But this was all on his PlayStation 2 flight simulator. I think Flynn was a little scared by this information. Well, there's no other. Flight simulator. I think Flynn was a little scared by this information. Well, there is no other option. It will have to be Troy himself. He starts to reduce altitude and pulls over the runway, but even applying the brakes, he was still too fast. He says that in the game, when it's going to crash, just press restart and skip the level. But this is real life. They leave the runway by pulling the stick to the left and finally manage to stop the plane.